Perfect. So we'll kick off our today's
Yes,
session.
yes,
So
today it's all
exciting.
about making decisions.
Yeah, yeah. Very exciting.
Um, yeah, hopefully you managed to watch the videos on decision making, law of compensation, because that's exactly what we are going to talk about today, how important it is to make decisions. And if you were listening to the video, I was saying in that video that successful people make decisions very quickly and hardly ever change them. We all make decisions on a daily basis regarding loads of things, but the main decision you have to make is what you really want. You have to make that decision that we've been talking about for the past few weeks. What you really want, what is your goal, what is your purpose, and focus on this, because that's ultimately why you are here. You are trying to get results in a certain area, so you have to make a decision what it is that you are shooting for.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And the only thing that you should ask yourself, the only prerequisite to making a decision is the question you should be asking yourself is, do I want it? That's the only question. That's the only question you need to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Because many people are sort of analyzing, they're asking family members or think, or what my family is going to think, what my friends are going to think, what my neighbors are going to think. But this is none of their business and none of your business, quite frankly. Your decision should be based on what you really want, not what your mother wants you to be, your partner wants you to be. It's who you want to become and what you want to achieve. That's why it is so important to make a decision. Anam, did you want to add something?
Yeah. So all the successful people of the past and even present, they have this thing in common, that they make decisions very, very quickly. Because if you just have to ask yourself one question before making the decision, that do I want it, then it becomes quite easy to make a decision, right? If you're worrying what other people are going to think, and even the fact that can I do this? Because a lot of times we are a little bit biased towards our potential because we let our previous results dictate what we can achieve, and we think, oh my god, we have never done this before, it is too far fetched to what I've achieved so far, and we keep on thinking, and before like we make a decision, the dream just goes away. So the only criteria, the only requirement you need to have to make a decision is, do you want it? And especially now that you're setting your goal, you're setting that one goal which is very, very important, which you're focusing all your energy right now. So while setting that goal, you have to make a committed decision that no more matter what, I'll do it. And doesn't matter what my past results were, what I achieved before, it doesn't matter. The past is gone. Now it's a new thing you're starting, and it has to be based on exactly what you want. Doesn't matter if you didn't achieve it before, it scares you. In fact, it should scare you a little bit and excite you a little bit. If it's not that exciting, then what will keep you going, right? So it has to be exciting and something you really, really want. And if and I also would like to also add one example here. So Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, I would really recommend that you read this book because it really teaches you about success principles and what success is about step by step. And when he was like researching the most successful people in America, so he spent 20 years of his life researching and understanding what is the difference between like other people and the most successful people, what actually they do. And one thing he noticed was that they are very quick decision makers. So they make decisions very, very quickly. Like with Henry Ford, he's one of the, like he's legend in decision making. Whenever he wants to make a decision for his company, he always made a quick decision no matter what other people were saying. And some people used to say that, oh, he doesn't listen to anybody, he just does what he wants. But actually it paid him great benefits, that he just made decisions very quickly without letting his own belief system or other people's opinion come in the way. So it takes a lot of courage. It's our programming is trying to stop us. We have a lot of limiting beliefs about ourselves, but we have to be aware of them, and we have to, while making decision, we have to make sure that we are not letting them come in the way. We are truly being true to ourselves and our desires and our potential.
Yeah, so when we are making a big decision about something, we set ourselves a really, really huge goal, and if we start asking other people's opinions who are not experts on that subject, we are sort of allowing them to double our fear. Because when we want to achieve something huge, if you want to go our biggest goals, our audacious goals, that's the way we call them, we will have doubts ourselves, and that's enough. Doubt and fear will at some point creep in, but it's easier to overcome that fear if it's your decision and you haven't asked thousands of other people who are not experts in the area what to do, because then you're doubling your fear. They'll say, oh, you can't do it, don't do it, how are you going to do it? And they will be telling you this from their own experiences. I really would like to touch on frequencies here, because I think this is a really great moment to touch upon this. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of frequencies and vibrations, because we are all energy. We think that we are a person, but we are massive amount of energy in constant movement. Let me just see if I can share my screen. I just want to make a quick drawing.
Yeah, let me just. Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just going to use this. It's not a very professional board, but why not? So let me just make a drawing here. That should be a straight line. What I'm drawing is the levels of vibrations, or they're otherwise called frequencies. So there's infinite amount of frequencies. There's no beginning and no end. It's just infinite amount of frequencies that we operate on. And let's say that you've got a problem to solve. And this is your problem here. Okay. Just mark it as your problem. It doesn't have to be a problem. It could be where you are in your current circumstances. And then you are shooting up here. This is where your goal is, or a solution to your problem. So for example, to be more specific, your problem could be, I don't know, that you are not earning enough money, and you are, I don't know, earning £50,000 a year, $50,000 a year, but you want to earn $1 million a year. So this is where your goal is. Okay, so we have to get from here to here. But the problem is that we can't really, in order to get to your solution to the problem or to reach your goal, you have to be on the frequency of your goal. At the moment, you are here on a completely different frequency. And in order to get there, there are certain things that you would have to do. You have to be on that frequency. It's like when you dial someone, if you've got a phone, mobile phone, and your number is your frequency, and I've got a number as well, and that's my frequency. And if you dial my number, we then are on the same frequency. It's the same here. So you cannot solve the problem on the same frequency that you are at the moment. You have to get up here. And so how do you do that? You do that by living from the solution, or living from the as if your goal has been achieved. So let's say you want to make $1 million. You should visualize yourself. How would you feel if your goal has already been achieved? Imagine that you are already earning that $1 million. How would that make you feel? How would you dress? How would you speak? How would you treat other people? This is living from the end. This is living from your end result. And by doing that in your mind, our subconscious mind doesn't know whether what we are thinking or visualizing is true or false. You will basically implant your subconscious mind with these thoughts. So that's why you have to think, you have to keep visualizing yourself here. And that's how you slowly are getting to that frequency. And when you become one with that frequency, that's when things start to happen. So you will get hunches, you will get inspirations, you will get a lot of things coming up that will lead you to your goal. So for example, if you look at your problem, coming back to your problem, it's very easy to find out how you got here. If you look at your current results, for example, it's very easy to look at your past thoughts, what you thought in the past, and connect the dots backwards. So for example, what led you to where you are? I don't know, you work for a certain company, for example. You've made certain decisions in the past that led you to that point. It's very easy to find out, but it's not easy. So you can't connect dots forward, right? But you have to think, you have to believe that at some stage, once you get to that goal, you will be able to connect the dots backwards. But in order to get to that higher frequency, you have to start using your higher faculties. So we can't really use our 5 senses to get to the solution of the problem or to achieve our goals, because our senses are deceiving. People find it very easy to believe in what they hear, what they see. But in order to get here, you have to use your imagination. You have to use higher frequencies, which we'll be talking about later in the program. But imagination is probably the biggest one. I don't want to make it too complicated for now, but if you keep visualizing your goal, that's why we said it's so important to write your goal on the card and keep repeating it, looking at it every morning, every evening, reading it to yourself, because this is how you condition your subconscious mind to get to that frequency. Is that clear? Perfect.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful concept that I think if you understand this, I mean, the solution to your problem or your goal, if you can think it, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. That's for sure. If someone's goal is to go from 50 grand a year to £1 million a year, the solution is already there. There are millions of people who already do that. So it's not difficult. It is difficult from looking at it from your current perspective. But if you move to that frequency, it will become a lot easier to understand. But it's only when you make a decision that you want to get to that goal. The tricky part is that your limiting beliefs will start creeping in at some stage. Okay, because you make a decision, you write your goal on the card. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to become. And then you will have doubts. You will have fears. Your limiting belief, it will be like your inner voice telling you, giving you hundreds of reasons why you can't do it. But you have to keep going. You have to keep going. And we'll be talking about limiting beliefs in our next session, because there is a process as well, how to get rid of our limiting beliefs, how to reprogram our subconscious mind. So we can overcome, we all have doubts, and there's no doubt about it. We'll have them, but how to overcome them and how to make sure that we don't lose traction, that we don't say, and that's why it's so important to have audacious goals, huge goals, because if the goal is not big enough, as soon as a small doubt creeps in, you'll say, I'm not going to bother. That's fine. Let's just leave it. But if your goal is so huge and you've nurtured that goal, you've repeated it thousands of times to yourself, you've made affirmations, you are reading the card, you are becoming one with it, it will be very difficult for you to quit.
Does anyone have any question on this concept? Because it took me a while to get it. Like I had to understand this over and over again. So is there any questions?
And I also wanted to add that, when you make a decision to go after your big goal, it has to be a committed decision. It cannot be like a wishful thinking, or maybe, if I'm lucky, I'll try this. It has to be a committed decision. That's why making a decision is so, so important. You have to make a decision. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going after. There's no ifs, no buts. And yes, I know there'll be doubts and fear will creep in, but no matter what, I've made a decision, I'm going for it. That's how committed you have to be.
How long does it usually take to get to fruition here? I mean, Like, is it, I know there's really no time frame, but is it something like that happens like within a year's time or less than that?
It really, I mean, like when you plant a seed in your backyard, in your garden, then there is a known gestation period for I don't know, for carrots to come out. But every person's goal is different, and every person is different.
Yeah.
Depending on where you start. And I think the amount of time it takes is in the exact ratio to your belief.
And your focus.
And your focus. How strongly you believe that you can achieve that goal. Because, you know, when you set huge goal initially, it's going to be really, really hard to believe that you can do it. If this is something you've never done before, you'll be thinking, oh my goodness, you know, it would be great to have it, but how do I even get there? I'm not even halfway, you know, I've never achieved like a quarter of it. So
that's how I feel.
Yes. So, but that's why it's so important to write your goal all the time, to read affirmations, to read it aloud to yourself. I'm so happy and grateful now. And then in the present tense, say it as if it already happened. And visualize. I mean, this is how I manifested my house, by constantly visualizing. You know, driving in the car, thinking of going there. I visualized where my house is going to be, what the house is going to look like. And it happened. It took, I don't know, 1.5 years to get me to my dream house. And then, you know, with other properties, I was visualized. I manifested those houses by visualizing them. Obviously, you have to take action. So it's not that I was sitting there visualizing and all of a sudden it happened.
Right.
But when you get on that frequency of your goal, you will start seeing things. You will start, I don't know, getting opportunities. You have to have that's why I said you have to use your higher faculties, not only imagination, but also your intuition. You will meet certain people. You'll be amazed how many opportunities will start coming up. And you'll be making big decisions with that as well, huge decisions. You may come across really, really huge mountains. But if you stay alert, you will notice that all of those things, people, circumstances that show up in your life are in connection with your goal. You will recognize it if you pay attention. But it's very important not to look at it through the prism of your 5 senses. Right? Because, you know, people find it easy. What is the saying? Seeing is believing.
Yeah.
But I like it the other way around. Believing is seeing. That's how it is, actually. You have to believe first and then you will see. But right. In order to do that, you have to be using...
It's like the power of positive thinking.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But it's positive thinking on its own is not enough, obviously. We have to be positive. We have to believe in it. But right. In order to start believing it, we have to nurture our subconscious mind. So that's why it's so important. You know, the thing that we said initially, write it down and write it with your hand. Don't write it on the computer, because this is how we nurture our subconscious mind. Some people advise to even read it to yourself in front of the mirror. One friend of mine, he actually said, I can't remember who it was, Nigel Risner. He's a motivational speaker. So I think someone told him years ago, just write your goal on the card and then tell it to yourself. I mean, just paint a picture of the person you want to become and then repeat it in front of the mirror. So he just felt really, really awkward looking in the mirror. And telling himself, oh, I'm a multi-millionaire, blah, 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 because it felt like a lie initially. But his mentor told him to write it down and talk to your mirror for 5 minutes for at least 30 days once it becomes a habit. And it did. I mean, the guy is multi-millionaire now. But there are different ways of doing it. And then the more often you tell yourself, I mean, it's not a lie because this is your goal. So you will eventually believe it. And you will slowly be getting onto the right frequency.
Yeah. And also one of the important things is that sometimes we catch ourselves not being in the right frequency. Like it happens to all of us, right? That you are thinking, oh my God, when it's going to happen, or I don't have it. That means if you're thinking, I don't have it, right? Or I'm waiting and it's not happening, then you're actually not on the right frequency, because being on the right frequency means that you are already feeling as if it's there, feeling like you're that person. But if you're feeling it's not happening, that means you're not on the right frequency. So if you catch yourself, like when you are actually feeling like that, you will always feel excited. Most of the days you'll be in good energy, good vibration, because even when you're driving, when you're doing something, you'll always visualize that, oh my God, like, this is how my life is right now, because for you, in your mind, it's real, right? But if you catch yourself like thinking, oh my God, still not happen, or I'm facing so many difficulties, then actually you're not on that frequency. And the problem is that it's like, literally the same concept like radio, that you cannot play FM frequency and say that I'm on AM station. You have to be on the same frequency. So it doesn't mean that you can never lower down your frequency, because we are humans. But whenever you catch yourself, try to increase your vibration. How you can do that? You can listen to your favorite song. You can close your eyes and visualize. Like when you do that, it becomes so real that you feel those things. You start to, like, again, have that positive thinking. And also make sure you are around the right people who are not talking about, what is wrong with the world is, going upside down, or this is happening, because all these things are going to impact you. Even if you try, they are going to impact you. Like there are some people who always like complaining that, oh, my life is so bad, I can't do anything. This will impact you. So you have to make sure that you are hanging around positive people who are helping you think positively. And you have to, if you're getting negative feelings, we all do. If you catch yourself, try to, change that, try to flip the switch and start thinking about your goal. Because a lot of times we face challenges, we face struggles, and sometimes it feels that we are going in the opposite direction. But that is all part of the process, and that is, we cannot see the bigger picture, but in the bigger picture you're always moving towards your goal. So it is very, very important to stand guard against your mind. Like, no, don't let any thoughts, get in it without your permission. Because the way I see thoughts are, they come in our mind without our permission, like literally an uninvited guest. You will be sitting down and you'll have a negative thought, and you'll think, oh my God, what happened? And if you let it play, it will attract more thoughts and more thoughts and more thoughts, and it will become a huge thing. So we have to be very, very careful with staying on that frequency.
Yeah. And sometimes it is difficult because we are facing different problems and circumstances, but I would recommend you to ignore your circumstances, because as Anand said, it will create more of the same if we think about the same. That means that we are staying on the same frequency. And to give you an example, everything that we want, I don't know, some people may feel that they struggle financially, for example, but poverty and wealth are the same thing. But it's just is the opposite side of the same thing. They're not two different things. So in order to get to financial freedom, you just have to get on that frequency. Just flip the switch, and you have to completely forget about that poverty status. It's like I don't know what would be the best example for this. I don't know, if you are feeling cold, for example. I don't know, your heating doesn't work in the house and you are feeling really cold. If you want to get warm, you are not going to think of the cold. You are going to think of what to do to make it warm. So you're going to light a fire or try to repair the boiler in order to get warm. You don't think about the cold. You think about warmth. So if you want to get to financial freedom, if you want to build wealth, you have to stop thinking about poverty, because it's like trying to get into that higher frequency, but you are at the same time, it's confusing information for your subconscious mind. Your focus should be on one thing, on one side of the same thing, because poverty and wealth is the same thing, just different side of it. Like cold and warmth is the same thing, but on a different frequency. I don't know if that makes sense.
So how do you swap that round then, Maggie?
Well, you have to keep your focus on that. Just think wealthy thoughts and live from the end result. So once you've got a certain goal, and people don't often make financial goals because if they are struggling or if they are at a certain level, they think, oh, it would be great if I had a little bit more, but they don't actually put a number on it. But making a decision is actually putting a number on it. There was a study done by Gallup that 84% of people don't make financial goals. So a financial goal would be, I don't know, I want to have build a wealth of, I don't know, $1 million of assets by the age of 55 or 45 or whatever comes to your mind. We have to make those financial decisions that way, because otherwise, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there. So first you have to make a decision of what you really want, and you have to put a number on it, and the date as well. The date might not be exact, but it will be sort of thereabouts, and it has to be believable to you. So obviously you won't say, I want to become multimillionaire by next Friday, because that probably would be silly to most people. But if you say, I want to become a millionaire by the end of next year, I think it's possible. It was done by many people.
Yeah. And also,
if you feel more,
go ahead.
If you feel more comfortable saying that, I want to become a millionaire by, 2025, do it. Don't make it too long though, because you don't want to wait until 2035 for it to materialize. But make a decision, write it down.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, don't make it too long, but make it long enough so it will be easier for you to believe it. Write it down on your goal and make a committed decision that you are shooting for that goal. This is your aim.
Yeah. And also the important thing is about flipping the switch, that you have to start living like that person. So if you're saying, I want to have a goal that I want to be a millionaire, or whatever your goal is, right, in this time, then you have to start living like that person today, in present. What does that mean? That means that how would that person spend their day, right? So how would they get up out of bed, literally to that detail? Okay, how would they do breakfast? Okay, and not just actions, but how would you feel? So if you have 1 million sitting in your bank account, that's just an example, then how would you feel? How would you do your breakfast? How would you feel about money? How would you feel about prosperity? How would you see the world? How would you interact with your family? So it has to be to that detail. And how would you dress? How would you, what kind of decisions you would make? What kind of decisions millionaires make, right? What kind of lifestyle you would have? And feeling is the secret. So you have to constantly feel like that person, to the point that you become that person. And once you become that person, your external circumstances will change, because now you're a completely different person. So first you have to be, then you have to do, and then you get. So that is the process: be, do, and get. So being has to be done now, right? And also, if you want to do that through your business, then what kind of decisions you have to take in your business now? How a business, like a millionaire, would make decisions in business, what kind of things you would do. So you have to start incorporating those changes, and it won't be overnight. It will take step by step. So focus on one thing, then the next, and we will cover this actually in the next week a lot more, when we're talking about recreating the new you, your self-image. But it is being on that frequency. Flipping the switch means that becoming that person. But sometimes you will find that you feel a little bit disappointed. You don't feel like you're that person, and it's okay, as long as you flip the switch, right? As long as you don't stay in that mode for days and days and days. And also, what kind of friends you have, what kind of routine do you have? So all these things will have an impact on the frequency, because now you're telling your mind that I am that person. So it's not just for the world to see, but it's actually for your subconscious mind, that you're constantly telling yourself. And visualization is really, really powerful, because the more you visualize being that person, acting like that person. And when you're visualizing, think that how are different things happening in your life, like you're meeting other people, how you're doing your business, if you're working, how you're doing that. And then it's easier for you to live like that person, because you're conditioning your mind. That's why visualization is the powerful force we have got, and we have to utilize it. And unfortunately, as children, it is so sharp, but as we grow up, it gets muted. And we are taught to pay attention and forget about this faculty and, stop dreaming and stop fantasizing. But this is it. This is how you condition your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can't stress enough to feel the feeling of being that person is probably the most important part, to feel it. So how would you feel if you got to that goal? I mean, you'll be certainly walking around with a big smile on your face because you've achieved your goal. So you have to get into that frequency. Yes, that's how you live. And if you do it, obviously, I know that people will struggle to do that 100% of the time, but if you do it more than 50% of the time, that's flipping the switch. You are doing it because if you do it a little bit and then you go back to your old self, that's going to be very confusing to subconscious mind. The more you do it, if you can control it for 90% of your time, that's absolutely perfect. And it will get you closer and quicker to your goal. But if you do it a little bit more than 50%, it's okay. And don't sort of blame yourself if you don't do it sometimes, because you will get to the point where you'll say, oh, I can't do it, and the reality of your present circumstances will creep in. But the main thing is to ignore your present circumstances and just live as if you are that person already.
Exactly.
And another thing that obviously a lot of people think, okay, I've got my goal, and then they sit and wait. You have to take action as well. And I think the simplest way to put it, and the simplest thing you can do, for example, if you have a goal to change your business, I don't know, maybe double or triple or quadruple your profits in your business, try to come up with 4 ideas every day. What can I do to make that happen? Write them down. And some of them will be completely useless, but you have to remember that you just need one idea, and one idea can change everything. So if you write down 4 ideas every single day, what could I do? They could be silly ideas. It will be a great progress for you to get closer to your goal.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved. I would love to add your question, Sarah, because I think it's very, very relevant. That when you talked about in the group that sometimes you feel that like things come in and you are you are not able to manage. So again, it is about being on that frequency. So if you focus on the fact that, oh my God, it's not happening, things are constantly coming in and I'm not in control, then you will attract more of the same. And this is even sometimes like I catch myself doing that and I'm like, oh my God. But it is so simple, but it's so hard sometimes to really get follow it. You get it, but it's so hard. But really, it's that simple, that whatever you focus on, whatever you feel, whatever you believe, you attract more. So if we tell ourselves that, oh, I cannot manage something, or I don't have enough time, then you're actually giving your mind a message, a command that do more of that. So for your subconscious mind, it's a command because you're feeling it. So it doesn't know that you're feeling it because you don't want it. It doesn't know the difference. What it's doing is it's saying, okay, this is what she wants. Let's channel her actions in a way that she gets more of what she wants. And then you attract all those situations as well, and you create more of the same. And then you think, oh my God, it's happening over and over again, until you flip that switch and say, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm in full control of my time. I'm very organized. And in the beginning, you will feel it's a lie, right? Because this is not what your results are showing. It's like you almost have to tell yourself a lie. But the more you do it, the more your mind will accept it. And eventually it will produce it, because now you're giving a completely different message. So it can get very tricky, especially when you're in that situation. But always remember, if you're focusing on it, if you're feeling that, it's going to be more. You're giving it energy,
Yeah, and also what is important, I think, you'll probably start, you may already have started to understand that our work on our mind is the most important work that we can do. So sometimes people find it hard to find time to study this material, but once you get into a habit of studying it every day, like we do it every day, crazy times, you know, my initial goal was like to do it half an hour every day. And I was like struggling to find time. But once you make a committed decision that you'll be studying this for at least half an hour every day, I'm studying it for much more than this. It's on my mind constantly because I know that this is my main work. And, you know, people, it's 95% mindset, 5% strategy. People try to run around looking for strategies, you know, going on trainings, what else I can do, or this company is doing this, so maybe I should do this as well. But the main work is within, it's on our mind. And this is so beautiful because no one can take this away from you. You can do it anytime. You have control over it, and you can just sit with your book or with this program and listen to it. You can write your goals. This is your main work. This is what will get you to your goals. Obviously, strategy is also important, but it's only 5%. Why people have got different results? You could take 5 businesses. I mean, I'll give you an example of a hairdresser, actually, my hairdresser. There are 2 hairdresser salons in a city where I live. And one of them is a really luxurious hair salon where the lady, she's employing probably about 10 people. She's very glamorous. She's going on holidays, exotic holidays, Barbados, many times of the year. And then on the same street, there's another business, hairdresser as well, but it's a really rundown shop. I mean, it's not very welcoming when you come in there. And this lady is on her own. She's running around like crazy. She's got 3 children running around, and she's got no time for anything. And they're both good hairdressers. I've used them both. They are in the same business, in the same location, similar age. Why 2 people are getting different results? I mean, they are doing the same thing. They are doing, they are women salons, so, you know, they make beautiful hair. But why are they getting different results? So it's obviously, it's how they think. So obviously the successful hairdresser, I mean, she's always positive. She's always smiling. So she believes that she's got a business, that she's actually running a business. The other hairdresser sounds more like the business is running her, because she can't control all of this. You know, she needs to make orders. She needs to look after customers. She needs to make bookings. She just can't manage this. And she hardly ever goes on holiday. I mean, I go to both from time to time. And the poorer hairdresser, honestly, I don't remember her going ever on holiday, maybe short breaks, but the other one is flying everywhere, and it's the same business. So that just, and you can look at, it's just not just hairdressing business, any business. When you take 2 or 3 businesses in the same area, same industry, why do they get different results? It's all about the mindset. So this is your main work.
Because you are attracting wealth or your results on a frequency. So if you are operating on that frequency, you're attracting it. And that's when you will get the strategy. So a lot of times, like, we think that, oh my God, what is that one strategy which will take my business to the next level? What is that strategy I need? But that strategy can give somebody completely different results, and you can have completely different results. The reason being because that person is operating on a different frequency, and we are operating on a different frequency. So the key is to match the frequency of what you want. Be that person, think like that person, feel grateful. Like, gratitude is very, very important. Feel as grateful as if your goal is already here, and operate on that frequency. And that's when you'll attract, and that's when you will attract the best strategy, and the best strategy will come to you. So you still have to take action, but you will stumble on it. It will come to you. You will come across all the situations, circumstances, people, and it will be in so unexpected ways that you cannot predict that that's what's going to happen. But it will come to you because you're attracting it. Exactly like if somebody calls my number, you know, we will be on the same frequency. It is exactly the same principle. But it's very easy, you know, when it comes to phones, but sometimes when it comes to life, it can get, you know, a bit tricky, but that is exactly the same principle. It's energy. And being on that frequency is super important, and not worrying too much about what is the best strategy, because that will come to you, and you will stumble on it. But a lot of times we get so busy in our day-to-day things that we forget to work on our mindset. And it's like, I think Deborah said it before, that with mindset is like shower, you have to do it every single day. If you don't, then like with shower, you cannot say, well, I've done it once, I'm I don't need it anymore. You have to constantly nurture your mind every single day, and for that you have to read this, you have to understand this. And sometimes if you don't do that, then it gets harder to believe why it's going to happen and like how it's going to happen. And that's when your actions are not aligned, and that's when you're not on that frequency. So for believing, you have to constantly study, and that's why it's really, really important to visualize, to believe, to study yourself, how incredible you are and what incredible powers you have got.
Yeah.
And I think somebody also asked this question, that how this can help with anger
I have
management.
a question.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Shreya.
I have a question. You guys recommend a particular lesson that we should be re-listening to quite often? Because I go back and I re-listen to them as much as I have time, but I didn't know if there's a particular lesson that you really recommend we re-listen to often.
I think all of them are equally important.
Okay.
I would recommend listening to them until you are really literally able to repeat the sentences.
Okay.
Because once you have this kind of understanding, you will know that this is going to become your way of life. You'll be thinking like this automatically. It's like I gave an example last time about driving a car. Once we learn how to drive, we don't think about how to turn the steering wheel, how to put the brakes on. It just happens. We get in the car and we're driving. So every lesson is equally important, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and also, we are reprogramming our mind. That's what we are doing. So when we were little, our parents used to tell us one thing like so many times, and then like, do this. We still do mistakes, and then they tell us again and again and again. Eventually, we will start adopting that habit. That's how we learned everything. We learned how to talk. We learned how to walk. So also now we are changing our programming. We're changing our beliefs. So repetition is very, very important, because you can listen to it once, and your conscious mind, which is your thinking mind, is going to understand, and you feel, yeah, I understand it. But it is still in your conscious mind. But for you to really reprogram your subconscious mind, you have to repeatedly tell yourself this over and over again, because you can equally understand it, but it won't change your habits, right? So for changing your habits, you have to constantly listen to it until your habits are changed, and you find that, wow, I'm doing these things, these things have become a part of my life. So that's why repetition is very important.
Yeah, because when we listen to something once, we are obviously thinking of what we are listening to, but it's on a conscious level. In order to condition our subconscious mind, it has to be through repetition. There is no other way. This is the only way. And I think I've already said that as well, that it takes 21 days, minimum 21 days, to change a habit or to understand a new thought that you weren't aware of before. So that's why it's recommended that you study this every day for as long as you can, for the duration of this program. And after it, I mean, it will become your way of life. Like it has become our way of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think there was another question on anger management. Did you want to answer that one?
Yeah. So again, with anger management, the anger is a feeling. Okay. So let me just repeat the question just to make sure everybody understands. So somebody asked a question that how Fatma, it was, I think, that how this information can help with anger management. And anger is a feeling, okay, and it comes from thoughts, because thought turn into feeling. So you cannot be angry until you think something, until you let any thought enter your mind. So if we have a power in our conscious mind, it is literally like a filter that you can filter out any thought you don't want. So if I'm sitting down or I'm driving and I get a thought that, oh my God, I'm, like this person is like that, or my life is not good, I have a power to reject it. Like, even if it seems true, if it doesn't serve me, if that thought will impact my results, my actions, my feelings, why should I let it enter my mind? So I have the power. First of all, we have to be aware that we have the power, because a lot of times, like, with a lot of people, like they're not aware that they have got this power. So if they're watching something on media or they're listening to news, they let it go straight in their emotional mind, which is controlling their actions. So biggest example is of when there economic crisis, or and a lot of, like when you see on the TV that there is inflation or the economy is going down, and if you if you get emotionally involved with that thought and let it impact you, it will change your actions, and you will automatically go towards that. It will become the part of your own reality as well. So a lot of companies like Disney, like IBM, have actually thrived in recession, and a lot of companies equally have gone out of business. Why? It's not because of recession, it is because of the thinking and how that situation is impacting you. So we are the controller, we are in charge. If we don't want that situation to impact us, no matter how painful or how bad it is, we don't want to impact our results, we can reject that thought, we can reject that idea. So once you reject that idea, you will not let it pass to your subconscious mind. You have to be very careful, because subconscious mind is not going to say, you know what, this thought is really bad, it's going to impact your result. It has no power to guide you. The only power is our conscious mind, which where your power is to reject or accept. So so at conscious level, reject that thoughts. And when you only accept positive thoughts, then you will create positive results. So even when it's on the TV that, it's recession and it's impacting everybody, don't accept it, because you create your own economy. And huge examples of companies who have absolutely incredible results. So don't let any of the bad things impact you. And we are the power, we are the control. So you have control over all your thinking. And once you realize that you have that control, then you will start to see that you will not let those things impact your feelings. And if you let that happen, if you let any negative thought enter your mind, and then the problem is that you will attract more of the same, because now you are on that frequency. So you are on that frequency of feeling bad, feeling negative. And what will you attract? All the bad situations. So the biggest example is, if you start your day with with not feeling good, how does your rest of your day go? Things keeps going wrong. Like your drink will fall somewhere, then there'll be traffic on the road. Then so why you're attracting all the negative situations? Because you're in that frequency. So be very mindful that whatever you need to do, listen to your favorite song, talk to somebody, talk to your friend. You need time to just meditate, whatever you need to do, but don't let it enter, because then all of a sudden you're going to have so much of the same, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know in which context that question was asked, because sometimes people may get angry with another person, but that anger towards another person is actually impacting you. That other person is not feeling your anger, you are feeling it, and you are in that frequency, and therefore attracting more of the same. So being angry about someone who has done something to you doesn't serve you. It actually makes it worse for you. So it's very important to, there is a difference between reacting and responding. It doesn't mean that we have to accept all the crap that people give us sometimes, right? But it's a way of responding. Don't let a bad situation get into you. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
There is a difference between responding and reacting. Sometimes, I don't know, a car may pull out in front of you, and some people automatically will become really, really angry, but that person doesn't feel it. He's in the other car. He can't feel it. The only person that feels that anger is you. And you are staying in that frequency and producing more of the same thoughts and feelings. So it's better to let it go. I mean, what difference does it make? Let them cut you in. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to, it has no impact on your goal. I mean, it has if you react to it, but if you respond with positivity, actually, I would send them love, all the best to you. And I hope you don't cause an accident. Just send them love. That's probably the best way, because when you send love to others, then you will get more love yourself.
Exactly. And one of the other things is that when if you experience a negative incident, right, and then you keep feeling it, so your mind doesn't know that it's over. So for your mind, you're feeling it over and over again. So how many times you're producing the same hormones and same things which are harmful for your body, which are harmful for your blood pressure, for your other things, so actually you are hurting yourself more. So that situation hurt you once, but then you're choosing to hurt yourself over and over again. And sometimes it's very hard, because some people are really, like they really pull our, strings, and they really like, but we have to think that what is it, we are the controller, we can control. So if it's about, like, how can we deal with that situation, and always start with the end in your mind. So what is the best situation you want out of that person or out of that relationship? Because you can't ignore all the situations, especially if it's with your close relationships. But what you need to do is start with the end. So if you have a problem with your loved one, then start with it. Where do you want to see that relationship? Do you want to have a very loving relationship? Do you want to see no difficult interactions? Then start feeling that, start thinking about it, and you will attract all those things in your life, and you will see the change in their attitude, because now you are in that frequency. So it really takes a lot of effort and practice to flip the switch, but you have to always flip it, like, consciously.
Yeah, but it's a good idea to actually practice it in small situations. I mean, you could, if you have a partner, or I don't know, it could be a member of your family or even a friend, and you have a sort of awkward situation with them, just think from the end, just think what would be the outcome you would want out of this. But it has to be a win-win outcome for both. And just focus on that. It's like focusing on the goal that we were discussing. We were talking about huge goals, but we are facing different issues and problems on a daily basis, and you can use this knowledge to deal with those situations. So if you approach it with the right attitude, with love, and with the end goal in mind, which has to be win-win. You cannot say, oh, I want this and I want them to suffer, because you are bringing that to yourself. This is how law of attraction works, and this is how frequencies operate. You are on that frequency yourself, because your mind doesn't know whether what you are thinking and feeling is about you or the other person. Your subconscious mind only knows that you are feeling that feeling. So that's why it has to be a win-win. It has to be positive. You cannot hurt anyone with your thoughts. But try to practice this on small daily issues, because they are so easy to manifest. The solutions to everyday problems or situations at work, situations in your business, with your suppliers. I'm using it constantly with my clients, and it changes. In the past, I used to think, that's in my property business clients, I used to think, there were some people that I didn't really like working with. But then when I changed my attitude towards those people, when I actually said, I actually made an affirmation that I only work with wonderful people, and my clients appreciate what I do and they value my business, their attitude has changed. And it happens so quickly. You don't have to wait a year or 2 years. Things like that, the small things, they will happen very, very quickly, probably because we think they are small. So when you think about that million or multi-million dollars, make it look small, then it will come sooner. But use it in everyday situations, because you will find the proof. There's no point trying to convince. We are not trying to convince you. We're just giving you the information so you can use it on a daily basis. And the only way you can find proof is to practice it yourself.
Yeah. And I love what Natasha said, that anger also manifests the opposite of what you want. That's so true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. Perfect. So do we have any more questions, or we wrap up?
No, thank you so much.
That's great. That's lovely.
Perfect. So we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.
At the same time, 9 p.m.
Sounds
UK time and 4 p.m. Eastern. And I want to take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Same to you all.
Thank you very much. Take care, stay positive, in a good vibration, listen to those lessons, and keep working on your mindset.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. We create lots and lots of transformational content to help you break through to the next level in your life where you really want to go.